Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sports Talk. It's been quite a while, life is busy like that, and as I've said in previous videos, I'm not making money from this, so it's not like it's something I'm going to keep up consistently. It's just something out there to add to an already vast catalogue of opinions and reviews on pretty much every sport in the world. It's very hard to find something unique, but I'm hoping that my unique perspectives and takes on everything will yeah, just be unique, I suppose. So, how much is there to talk about since I last reviewed AEW? When I last reviewed it, I was laying into the fans about how they are extremely impatient and incredibly unappreciative of what goes on in the wrestling world for their entertainment. Nevertheless, we are here at the point we are. People have done extremely well. This gets demolished in 9 hours. That's good. We've been waiting for the space to disappear forever. Right, so AEW, the last thing that was going on when I reviewed it was, I believe, the Dark Order. The Dark Order appearing at the end of the last show of the year, attacking the Elite, and of course creating that controversial viral video of the Dark Order extra who was missing his punches. Just to sum up on that, the internet has already proved that it is not biased. We did at first, because naturally you just think, oh well, the microscope's on AEW, which is true. But unfortunately, similar things have been coming out of WWE recently, in which current NXT Women's Champion Rhea Ripley was missing punches herself. And everyone's excuse for that one was, well, it looks bad in slow motion. And it's like, right, let's move on from this. Let's just establish one thing. Punches are probably the least real aspect with professional wrestling, so who the hell gives a shit? If you are aware of a man called Ken Shamrock, a MMA fighter, former WWE guy, now current Impact guy, he said it was all bullshit because even in proper professional martial arts sports like MMA and boxing, you know, no one lands punches 100% of the time, but wrestling fans seem to have this thing where every wrestler should be hitting every punch. So, yeah, kind of went through that stage, and the Rhea Ripley thing is actually very recent. So, it might not go away anytime soon, but I'm over it. I wasn't one of these fans that was like, oh, you know, you're just killing AEW, you're just pointing the spotlight on AEW because they're new and you don't like change and all that. Which is still true, but, you know, I'm just over it. That's all there is to it. So, just gonna check this. Okay. So, what has been going on with AEW, story-wise? Well, let me tell you, AEW is the hottest storytelling promotion, right, in the world. And there's absolutely no one that can tell you differently. And if they do, I'm telling you right here and now, it's not true. AEW storytelling so far has been absolutely incredible. It's so subtle in places, it's so obvious in others. You know, the stories where like, oh well, this has to happen, and then it happens instead of being swerved, because WWE, you know, think that that's all we want is to be swerved. That's probably why they have a show called Swerve. So we've had good continuity in the stories. In particular, MJF, Cody Rhodes, and the story which is quickly becoming the hottest story in wrestling is Hangman Adam Page. And how this is becoming hot is because of the very subtle feelings he's having. You know, there's small moments that are just aching away at Hangman. He's just waiting to explode. Spoiler alert, him and Kenny Omega on the Jericho Cruise last week, or this week rather, won the AEW tag titles off of Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian. Quite historic. It's the first ever title change in AEW history. And again, this is something that ticks a lot of boxes for the fans who are watching. This adds another level to the story with Hangman. This adds credibility, obviously, to Hangman. This puts Omega in a spot where the fans want him to be, because Omega, the way Omega wants to do it is he wants to put people over. That's why he took quite a few losses in the first year. I don't need a gun for this. Sorry, I am getting distracted. I am playing this live. So yes, Kenny Omega, fans were bitching that he wasn't where he should be. He's Kenny Omega, he should be main eventing. Well, he ain't the world heavyweight champion yet, but he is involved with, like I said, the hottest story in the promotion. He has built multiple rivalries which are just waiting to be recontinued at any moment, and he now has a belt, so you can't really say that Omega is now is still keeping himself irrelevant. He is doing his absolute best to keep putting people over without putting himself too over yet, because Omega will be the top dog in the promotion for a while, because he just will. It's the same reason the Bucks are bound to win the AEW tag titles. It's the same reason why if Cody really doesn't get another world title shot, he will win the mid-card belt if that should come along, or even the six-man belts, should they be available for grabs in the future. So when we're talking about Kenny Omega and the other rivalries he's got building around him, he's still got Pac to deal with. Pac is still desperate for his rubber match with Kenny Omega. If you don't know what that means, a rubber match is basically the third match of a best of three, or in WWE's case, it's probably the 11th match of a best of 11. What the hell is that? Oh, it's a tree. It's just weird color. So Omega, very much at the top. Rivalries with Pac. Michael Nakazawa is starting to get a bit frustrated that Omega's not really helping with him. He's not really sticking with him. So Nakazawa's looking into the Dark Order. Dark Order, by the way, I'm extremely impressed with. And you wouldn't get that vibe from the rest of the fan base, but let me tell you something about the Dark Order, which I think is incredible so far. The Dark Order have been more focused on developing their online following. Their main promos with the added extra bits to Dark Order have all been done online. I mean, with the exception of the addition of the Exalted one, but I mean, something that big, you know, you have to introduce to television. But through the internet meetings, because they don't want to put this on TV, and you'll see why. The botched punches that we've discussed with the Dark Order member, not a main member, this was just a guy in a mask, so an extra, was missing his punches on Dustin right in front of the camera. It was a whole big thing. It was terrible, la-di-da-di-da. It was, to be fair. I mean, one, you shouldn't be punching like that. Two, if you're going to, don't do it right in the middle of the ring facing the main camera. But regardless, the Exalted One has brought this into the story, claiming that this individual, and has shown the clip of the guy missing the punches, saying, this guy is weak, we don't want him in the Dark Order, kick him out. And there was a little bit of build around that, and then eventually it came to the Exalted One telling Evil Uno to get rid of this guy, and we got the video package of Uno telling this guy he's very disappointed in him. He had such high hopes for him, and then Grayson punched him in the face, and that is assuming the last we'll see of this weak guy. I mean, there's probably a very good chance this guy will stick around, but story-wise, we have been led to believe that this weakness in the Dark Order has been kicked out. So people will say, you know, oh, you know, they're backtracking and they're correcting their mistakes, and it's like, yes, and that's a good thing. You know, I mean, I'm sorry that they don't just want to sit there and stew on it going, man, we fucked up and now the fans are going to let us have it. They've gone, no, we're going to turn this into our own thing. We're going to put this in the story. We're going to fix it. They've tried to fix it. And you know what? In my mind, they have fixed it. Because something that's small, it's a very small chunk of the community care about it. You know, barely anyone care about it. Because it's irrelevant. It's like Ken Shamrock said, you know, when you start focusing on the punches of wrestling, you're watching wrestling for the wrong things, you know. But no, the fact that they've included it in the story and produced videos online to the community that will focus on the punches, because they are based online. This is the Twitter universe we're talking about here. A little bit of YouTube, a little bit of Facebook, but most of this fucking idiots reside on Twitter. And yeah, the videos went out, and you know what? No one has said a thing. I mean, you still get the comments of people going, oh, Dark Order suck and all that, and it's like, well, then I guess they're just not your thing. Whatever, no one cares if you don't like them, right? The fact is that some people like them enough to stick them around. Right, this is the other thing as well. The Dark Order have a cult following. They don't just have a cult following in the sense of they came with a bunch of fans. They came as unknowns. The first chance that they ever received in AEW was, who are you? You know? Now it's completely different. Now you know who the Dark Order is. You know who Evil Uno is. You know that they've got the Creepers. You know that they look to recruit everyone because they are a cult. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, that is called storytelling to keep someone relevant. So the Dark Order, whether you like them or not, are relevant. They are part of the story. And as much as you would like to hate on them and tease them for the missed punches, the reality is that 1 in every 10,000 punches in wrestling across the world every day, right, is a real punch. The other 9,999, or did I say 100,000? 99,999 punches are fake. They don't connect. Of course they don't connect. If every punch in wrestling connected, people would be getting knocked out. They wouldn't be doing flips and all that. Wrestling would be UFC. For God's sake, if you want to see real punches, go fucking watch UFC. Right? No one cares apart from the internet. So that's why they had to fix that. But it's fixed. People will linger, people won't forget, but fans do. You know, and no one can tell me that fans don't forgive and forget, because, I mean, look at WWE, you know, somehow over 2 million people still watch Raw and SmackDown. I mean, I have another theory for that. I mean, most of WWE's fans aren't wrestling fans, you know, I mean, their videos that get the most views are reality show-esque stories. So that's why they're getting views, because all your teenage girls and boys that are into Love Island and Big Brother and the Kardashians and people who watch that shit are the people that now watch WWE, because that's what WWE is. And those are the people that watch it. But still, you know, there are going to be wrestling fans there that say they've watched WWE their whole life. And you know they forgive and forget. Because Jesus Christ, if you didn't forgive and forget with WWE, they would lose all their fans. They would have lost all their fans by now. WWE wouldn't exist. They exist because of the revenue and the fact that they have the revenue to stay, you know, very much in the eyes of the people. And, well, that's WWE. So back onto AEW. We've covered Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, a little bit on Pac. Tiny little bit on Cody. We'll go into more depth with Cody MJF because that's another fantastic story they've got going on. There is another. Now, hang on a second. I've just got to go shelve some of this stuff away. Right. So, which of those should I talk about first? It's tough, you know, when you've got so much to talk about. This is what you love about AEW. With WWE, you can rant and be over with them in about 5 or 10 minutes. AEW, I could spend hours talking about not because it makes me more excited, just simply because there is more to talk about. You know, there is continuity. There is more stories. You know, Buddy Murphy joined Seth Rollins to become tag champs, right? Yeah, just because. That's what we've got here. We've got Buddy Murphy just got his ass kicked several times by Aleister Black. So now Seth Rollins is going to take him under his wing, and the next week they're tag champions. That's a WWE story. Whereas we've got Hangman Page, who's been struggling since the pay-per-views all the way back in August. Off and on Dynamite, you know, sometimes he's in good form, and then when he's in bad form, he's in a bad mood. Recently, he's been on good form, but he is falling out with people, and now he's the tag champ with Kenny Omega, who is the only member of the Elite that is seen to be still talking to Hangman. I mean, Hangman is very upset with the Bucks, in particular Matt Jackson, for whatever reason. There will be reasons why. If you go back and watch it, you will see the reasons why. The tiny details are there. It's just I've probably just forgotten about this particular tiny detail. And of course, Cody, apart from the attacks where they come to save each other, Cody has not really been involved with the Elite that much over the last month or so, I would say. I mean, there's been a couple of meets, you know, I mean, when they're happy for whoever, they all come out and share a hug or handshake. But despite the main story being it's Hangman distancing himself from the Elite, you would also say Cody is as well. And Cody is reaching a very interesting position. Cody right now is the biggest babyface in AEW, maybe ahead, maybe just behind Jon Moxley. So Cody is in the top. Cody's in the top 3 or 4 names when you think of AEW. Now, here's what's been happening to Cody. Cody is in the rivalry with MJF. MJF kicked Cody in the balls at Full Gear. I still maintain this was a bit soon to pull the trigger on MJF, but having said that, because they've pulled the trigger, this is one of the rivalries which is getting them viewers. And maybe MJF turn on Cody, you know, in 3 months, maybe people won't care because there's a bigger story going on. But because they pulled the trigger so soon, there wasn't a bigger story going on. Like Hangman is not a big story yet. It's a long book. It's a good book. Think of it like that. So with the MJF and Cody, like we've had a couple of pages of good stuff, good teases, and then MJF just turns on him, and the rest of the book is about the rivalry. But in this one with Hangman, we're talking about quite a while. We're talking chapters upon chapters with the Elite before, you know, the descent finally takes over and we see Hangman break free from the Elite, which may not happen. You know, Hangman might make up and everything might be hunky-dory until a year's time, where everyone goes, he was struggling last year, now he's finally snapped. But I doubt it. I think it's going to happen a lot sooner than that. But that's just an example of the Elite. So that's going on with Cody and Hangman. A bit more on Cody, actually. The rivalry with MJF. This is amazing, right? This is what you have to consider. And you have to compare. And everyone says, you know, you shouldn't compare to WWE and AEW. But here's the facts, right? There is some times where you have to plead your case as to why one is better than the other. Because sometimes people just want to go, I want to watch the best one, and only the best one, because I only have the time for one. Right? So where do I go watch the best wrestling? AEW is my answer. And these are the reasons why. So, yes, you could say I'm adding to the problem by saying like, oh, well, AEW is better than WWE. It's like, well, again, that's my opinion, and I want people to share this experience that I'm having, because I've never been more of a wrestling fan than I have been since the creation of AEW. I've gone from knowing absolutely jack shit, being the most casual wrestling viewer ever. I mean, I wasn't a member of the network. I didn't watch any of the weekly shows. I was up to date with a lot of the stories, but again, you know, they didn't really make a lot of sense, so you'd have to watch the pay-per-views just to get the match, because the match was the only part of the story worth getting to. So, Cody and MJF, they've been doing this. They've been building the story and the hinting since before Dynamite even started. Before Double or Nothing was even aired. You know, they were doing teases of MJF on being the Elite. And yeah, they pulled the trigger at Full Gear, and it was a resounding success. The people now absolutely hate the man's guts, and it's not like it's just because of that. It's because of his promos. It's because of his swagger in the ring. Yes, he's not the most technical wrestler, but this is the other thing as well. People bitch that AEW is full of too many high-flying guys, okay? Like, that is said quite a lot. So where's the logic for saying that, you know, MJF is a problem because he does something different like you say he should? Wait, what is that? That's a Spino. That's a goddamn Spino. Shit. Oh, crap. How am I going to deal with that thing? Oh, it's a level 30. Okay, I should have this. Fucking hell. Scary shit. Because that thing can swim as well, sorry. So, they've been doing this since November. Constant stipulations, constant talk. Here we are 2 months, just over 2 months after he turned on Cody, and we still haven't had the match. And this is not a bad thing. This is a great thing, because the match means something. MJF and Cody haven't had 26 matches already. You know, they've not had fights yet. They've been saving the moment. That's what you do. That's how it's supposed to be done. Thank you, AEW. So we've already got this almost year-long story with AEW, right? And they've been on television for 4 months. And they're making this year-long story work. But not only are they making it work, right? But they're doing it the right way, as I said. We still haven't had the match yet, so the match is going to be a big draw. Oh my god. What am I supposed to do with this thing? Come on. Come on. Come on. That's it. Come on. Oh, crap. God, this thing's a piece of shit. Come on, then. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. Ah, you bitch. Ah, fuck off. Come on, then. Yeah! Get fucked, you giant piece of shit. That's how it's done. Ah, good job, RG. Wow, you really didn't take that much damage, did you? Oh shit, piranhas just ate it. Hey, fuck off. Fuck off. There we go. Sorry about that. So, the stipulations that MJF proposed, and I also believe that this was at the end of the year, the stipulations were in order to have the match at Revolution, which MJF was willing to give Cody, willing to give the fans. Obviously there's a catch. The catch is a couple of steps. The first step, which I think is very questionable, this is in no order, but I'm going to start with the most questionable, and that's the taking lashings, that's right, lashings, on TV. 10 lashes of a belt. Now, I do understand, but I think that this is it's a bit much. It's a bit much. But maybe that's the point. Also, for future reference when you're thinking about this, Cody has already agreed to all of these steps, so it's happening. So 10 whips. It might not happen. There may be something to interrupt it or whatnot, but the setup is happening. We will be preparing for Cody to be whipped, whether he is or not. We will have to prepare for that. The next stipulation was quite a basic one, quite a simple one. This one is playing it safe with the story. Yeah, playing it safe with the story, and just keeping the continuity of making the fight more significant. Cody is not allowed to touch MJF until Revolution. This is on top of all the other ones. So Cody's not allowed to touch MJF. He's going to be whipped, supposedly, on live television. And my favorite stip, which is definitely happening, because it's already been confirmed, is Wardlow versus Cody in a steel cage match. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to go. It depends on what happens before then. And what I mean is, Wardlow hasn't had a match in AEW yet. So we've seen him kick someone, we've seen him choke someone and clothesline and powerbomb. We've seen him do a couple of moves, a little bit like Hager, but he's done a lot less than Hager. Where was I going with that? Yeah, so his first match is going to be with Cody in a steel cage. And this is the interesting part. It's in Atlanta, Georgia. So Cody said when they announced that he was going to do the steel cage, he's got the perfect place in mind. And that would be his home state of Georgia. So the hometown, is it hometown hero? Just home state hero, one of the two. You know he's going to get a big pop. He gets a big pop anywhere he goes. Am I really to believe that Cody will lose to Wardlow in Wardlow's debut in a steel cage in Cody's hometown. You see, to me, that situation just screams out that Wardlow is going to lose to Cody. That's what I think. I think unless he gets screwed over somehow by MJF, which I don't see being possible because of the steel cage. And I believe they may do this old school in which the cage doesn't have a door. It's just a cage, because he said solid steel cage. So we hope that's what they do, because I hate the fact that steel cages have doors. I mean, that just makes them completely pointless. It's like, oh, you know, this is an inescapable steel structure, but there is a door, and you can just walk through it. It's like, for fuck's sake. So no, impenetrable steel cage is what we're hoping for. But Cody's not going to lose in Georgia. He's not. And if he does, I mean, to what benefit? Sympathy? To a large boo for Wardlow? It's not worth it. It's more worth giving your hometown heroes a win. This is another issue that WWE suffer from, is burying talent in their hometowns. That's how you very quickly get people to stop showing up, because a lot of fans at this point, you know, they only go to see their homegrown stars in some places. You know, if WWE go to Iowa, you know, I guarantee you half of those fans, if they show up, are there for Seth Rollins. You know, so Cody's got to win that match, but then if Cody wins, Wardlow loses his debut, and you need to keep Wardlow relevant. Oh shit, I left the bird up there. Fuck. Oh, I'm gonna have to go get him back down. So, this can go two ways depending on the build-up. Okay, so this depends on... Why is there a section of roof missing? Why is there a section of roof missing? Right. So, I believe that this will happen, e.g. Cody winning, Wardlow losing, if Wardlow has matches before Georgia. And there's time for that to happen, because the Georgia match, I believe, isn't happening until a week or two before Revolution. So we've got almost a month in that gap. At least 4 weeks, maybe. So, I mean, you give Wardlow 2 wins, you know, it would be mission accomplished. But that's a big if. That is a big if at this point. Crap, okay. This isn't quite going to work the way that I wanted it to work. Shit. Actually, I can make it work. I can make this work. If Wardlow does get a couple of matches before the match with Cody, you'd assume they would have to be squash matches, wouldn't you? Either squash matches or at least one match to show off Wardlow's prowess, you know, to really show what this dude actually brings to the table. Because I don't think people will be convinced come the match with Cody, depending on the result. I don't think people will be convinced on Wardlow's credentials. They will just say, why is he beating Cody in his debut? Is this guy really going to get a monster push, you know, unlike the likes of Darby Allin, who couldn't beat Cody, you know, in his debut? Are we really saying that Wardlow is at a standard above that already? I mean, and then you look at the rumored big man that AEW have coming in. Wardlow is going to be Wardlow is going to really struggle to keep his relevancy, and this has nothing to do with the man's ability or anything like that. He's just going to struggle because of who he is and who they sign. It all depends. I just don't know, you know. It's a difficult one. That's the stipulation that I'm struggling with, and it's got nothing to do with the story at this point. It's just to do with the booking. So we'll have to see where that goes. But as it stands, my prediction for that is that Cody's going to win because it's in Georgia, and I think it would be an extremely poor decision to not have Cody win in Georgia, because it is what it is. You know, it's not a complicated philosophy, and I wish people would stop treating it like it was, because it's not. None of these things are particularly difficult. And AEW are now discovering that. Now that they've found a rhythm, everything is just coming so naturally to them. There's a couple of things you go, wait, what? But then, you know, that usually starts things. And that is talking about Cody Rhodes. So we've talked about all the members of the Elite, and we've just covered the Elite, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't even begun to get into the title pictures with the women's title, with the world title, and other rivalries which are happening amongst the quote-unquote mid-carders, which I'm sorry are not mid-carders until there's a mid-card belt, which is why I believe they haven't introduced one so soon, because you pigeonhole people right out of the main event spot straight away. So kudos to AEW for not jumping the gun on bringing a a mid-card title just yet. And yes, I know, it's needed, it would be good, right? But not yet, right? We are still trying to establish who are superstars amongst the stars. We know that basically everyone is stars. Everyone, I've not seen a single person in AEW come out and every fan in the world was like, oh, well, they suck, fuck them. Every single star, woman, man, tag team, has already developed a cult following just from being on TV, because that's how it works. You watch a television show, you have a favorite character because of the way he talks, or maybe just the way he looks. You know, I mean, that's how I am with the Butcher and the Blade. They're aesthetically, I just look at them and I think, wow, this is my favorite tag team. These are the guys I want as champions. These are the guys that I would happily get a tattoo of. You know, that's just wrestling. Wrestling fans are quirky. Get used to it. And I have this conversation quite a lot because I'm part of an, no pun intended, elitist group of all elite fans, where we do a lot of fantasy booking and we discuss what's going on in and out of the company. Yeah, the mid card, again, quote unquote mid carders, are excellent, and some of them have music which this will sound stupid at first, but hear me out. There are people that have main event music, right? Like The Rock's music, you know, it wouldn't work with Mojo Rawley because he's Mojo Rawley, but The Rock's music works because The Rock is a big deal, and it sounds like big deal music. That's just the way it is, like I said. What have I got left? Some ceilings. So the likes of Joey Janela, Joey Janela's got the music of a champion. It's very Bret Hart, but different. You know, it's I don't know. I want to use the word iconic, but that's not the word. It's it's recognizable. You know, it's unique. It's full of character. It tells you a bit more about the character. Like Joey Janela, a bit of a loose cannon. We know, you know, he's into his hardcore matches, but the dude can wrestle a technical match. He's put on a clinic in some matches, dare I say. His match, right, if you haven't seen already, go on YouTube and watch the bonus match between Janela and Phoenix, right? Because apparently Phoenix was injured during the match. I tell you, you wouldn't think it. You really, really wouldn't think it. It was an awesome match. And it wasn't just because it's Rey Fenix, and Rey Fenix is obviously incredible, as we know. Janela can fucking go. He is a good wrestler, man. And he is absolutely bonkers. Like, him versus Darby Allin will only put on a death-defying match, but him versus someone technical, right, will still be a good match. I've seen him in a, I'm not sure if it was a lights out match, but he had a hardcore match basically with Omega, and also had a normal match with Omega. I preferred the normal match. I mean, they made the most of the spots in the hardcore match naturally, but Jesus Christ, I mean, the match between Janela and Omega was one of my favorite Omega matches so far. Not just in AEW, just in general. Everyone always says that, you know, the matches aren't up to the caliber of the New Japan standard, and I'm like, well, that's because, again, you know, when we're talking about New Japan, we're talking about guys that have been wrestling for quite a while. You know their names already. You know their skill sets. You know their mindsets. That's why you prefer those matches. Because you're going, oh, you know, it's Kenny versus Okada. You know, there's only going to be good facial reactions and expression and stuff because it's Okada and Omega. Which is a very Dave Meltzer thing to think. I'm not shitting on Okada, do not get me wrong. Kazuchika Okada is one of, if not the best wrestler in the world. I identify that, right? But the fact is, right, if you stick Kip Sabian in a match with Okada and it was not as good as a match that say he has with maybe Janela, people will still say the Okada match was better because it was Okada, right? So we just need to shake this stigma of wrestlers being better in a different promotion, because it was completely different. In terms of New Japan, that is. If we're talking WWE, then we can easily say if people are better or not because they'll actually be on TV, which is a big difference, you know. So, Janela, right now, is one of my quote-unquote mid-carders that I'm extremely interested in. Janela, I didn't know much about at first. I fell in love with him, though, instantly in Double or Nothing, where he did the cigarette spot, where Jimmy Havoc stapled a cigarette to his forehead. I love Jimmy Havoc anyway, so I just got introduced to Janela because it was like, haha, another victim for Jimmy Havoc, you know. But yeah, I mean, wow. Now that time's unfolded, I appreciate just how good Joey Janela is. I get why the Young Bucks made it a priority to bring him in, because this is a guy who can give you entertainment, but no one else seems to be willing to give him the chance. And there's no like particular reason, you know, or any stigmas as to why, apart from WWE's own stigmas of, you know, he might be too small, he might be, you know, there's all sorts of reasons that WWE give. You just get a bit sick of it after a while. I imagine if you were a wrestler, you get very sick of it. Mm-hmm. That's better. Yeah, I'm preferring this. This is looking nicer. Nearly lost the bird again. Gotta stop doing that. So, Janela. Why was I talking about Janela? Why am I randomly raving about Janela? It's because I keep getting distracted from the main point I'm trying to make about Janela. And that's that he's already been in a good story. He's already established himself as a guy that can talk and can wrestle. He's got wins. He's put on losses where he's gotten over in defeat. And he's away to begin his second proper rivalry of the I want to say season, but it's not really. This is a new season. So it's his first rivalry of the new season, we'll say. Because he had the rivalry with Shawn Spears, which will last. You know, that's another thing with AEW. The rivalries, you know, they aren't something where they're going to be tag team partners in 2 weeks' time. Janela and Spears, whenever they run into each other, if they have to, there will be heat there. And that's just subtlety building stories and keeping mid-carders, again, quote-unquote, relevant. Well, just, you know, I'm sick of saying quote-unquote mid-carders. People who aren't in the main event. Right? That's what it is. People who aren't in the main event. This is just stuff like this keeps them so relevant, like, and you notice it. Like, you don't just go... Shinsuke and Rusev have been feuding for their title for a while. Shinsuke's beat the crap out of Rusev. Rusev's beat the crap out of Shinsuke, and now Shinsuke's got the better of him again. So what's going to happen is they're going to become a tag team. No. You know, Shawn Spears and Joey Janela are not just going to become buddy-buddy overnight. There's a story that will have to be told in order for that to even happen. And that alone, you know, is something for people to sink their teeth into. You might not be interested in a Spears-Janela rivalry, right? But the fact that it's there, it's been built on the right reasons, it's a simple story, means that when the match happens, you'll go, oh yeah, it's happening because they hate each other. You know, it's not just like, oh, well, you know, they're two good athletes, so why not have a match? It's okay when that happens, right? It's okay when that happens. But that is not how you keep someone relevant unless someone in that match was going on a hot winning streak, you know? Just, even if someone loses, if there's a good story around it, they will get over in defeat and they will generate sympathy from the story being there. People think this is complicated. It's complicated in the sense that it takes words to explain it rather than just, oh, just do it. You know, but it is simple. As an observer, it's simple. As a fan, it's simple. I fantasy book stuff that I know would sell out arenas, right? I'm just a guy with a phone playing games just with an opinion. And I know I can do better than some of these places. Not AEW though. I mean, their level of storytelling is the level of fantasy booking that I'd love to achieve. They are where I'd love to be. Now, where was I? I believe I wasn't quite finished with the thing. Can't remember if I crafted those or not. I'll have spare if I haven't. I know the thing that you're watching is probably extremely boring compared to the AEW talk, and I apologize for that. It's not boring for me though. I'm a huge ARC fan. Me and my friends, we do this occasionally. Like, we haven't been on this like all the time since it came out. This is us returning to the game for the first time in about a year and a half, so I just want to build there. That's the problem. I need to build there. 2, 4. Okay, I need 4 walls. Nah, that's gotta go. And that's gotta go. I forgot about the hatch. Right, let's test. Alright, that's pretty good. wish I could sort this, but... Fuck. Ah, well, what are you gonna do? Right. Might go on a flight, just for the fucking hell of it. Come on, bird. We'll grab some food and we'll just head out. Talk about wrestling and just explore the map. Why you... I still don't understand why you are carrying so much fucking stone. Okay. I just gotta sort this first. Can use this for spark powder later. So, Janela is away to begin his second rivalry, this time with Kip Sabian. This is something I predicted quite early on, actually, in the AEW life. But everyone's still telling me that this is all, you know, this is against Joey's wishes. But no, I'm not buying that. I think this very much has Joey Janela written all over it, in a very good way as well. Joey Janela is going into this rivalry with Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian, of course, now dating Joey's ex. I say ex, definitely in quotation marks, because it really is not clear if that relationship with Penelope Ford was kayfabe or not. And I still am completely adamant that it was kayfabe, that this was the plan all along. It just seems too convenient. You've got a guy called the Bad Boy, you've got another guy called Super Bad, and the girl that leaves the Bad Boy just happens to ditch the Bad Boy for the Super Bad Boy. You know, to me that's not, you know, how is that not planned? I mean, can anyone else see that? Am I the only one that sees that? Like, it's not obvious, but like, if you were to say they were going to have a rivalry, then you would go, okay, I get it now, wouldn't you? You know, it might not even be the case, but it still makes sense. So they did the whole thing. Apparently Joey was online, you know, saying that he never wants to work with Kip and Penelope, and everyone's going, oh, well, that's a shame, and I'm going, he's working us. There's no way this early on in your career with a new company you would start pissing people off by saying, I refuse to work with this guy. I mean, come on. Do we really believe that these guys are going to be so petty at this level? No, because they can't afford to be. Right? What do I need to make this? Flint, stone, and wood. There. Sorted. Yeah, stay higher up in case another Spino shows up. I still have to explore quite a bit of the north. I might do that. Who else is on? Oop, 3 foreigners. That'll be fun. I say foreigners, they're probably British. Oh well. So yeah, it has to be a work because now they're working together. Penelope, low blow Joey Janela in his first promo of the year. And again, we haven't jumped straight into it. You know, we haven't already had Sabian versus Janela. Or anything along those lines. We're saving it. Again, we're building a story, but we're saving the match. Thank you, AEW. This is just what I love. That's not to say these guys are going to be sitting on the sidelines, because it really is the opposite of that. Joey Janela has had a win over Rey Fenix. This has happened. Joey Janela has pinned Rey Fenix completely clean in what was, I have to say, an excellent match. Might go very underrated, but I thought Phoenix versus Janela was an excellent match. Can't really fault it at all, really. Yeah, yeah, as I say, I just loved it. What are those? Snake. Ah. What we got in the water? We got frogs. We've got whatever that is. That's what I'm looking at. What is that? Where is it? It's right there. Ah. Oh, it's a Diplocaulus. It's that weird thing. Right, okay. Not as interesting as you'd think. This is like edge of swamp territory. For those of you that play Ark, swamp territory is definitely the most dangerous. Now we're sort of leaving it, so that was the edge. Okay, that's good stuff. That's good. So, Janela Sabian, we are saving, will be an excellent match. Janela will not be facing Sabian next week. As I said, this isn't going to be a quick and done and over thing. We have Sabian versus, I believe, Cody Rhodes. I believe Cody Rhodes is going to be up against Kip Sabian next week. And you know what? I am super pumped for that because it's a match I haven't seen. I know Sabian's good. I know Cody's good. So hopefully it gets the crowd appreciation it deserves. And it has to be said, Cody has done very well recently in terms of wins. He didn't compete on the cruise, not on the Dynamite show anyway. He had a shock win over Darby Allin. I was adamant that Darby Allin was going to win that, but as soon as Cody announced that Arn Anderson was his, not manager, but his coach, I went, okay, there's a different level here. If they're going to have Arn Anderson being his coach, then I guess he's not losing. And lo and behold, he did not lose. He somehow, and I still don't know how, he beat Darby Allin. So Cody beat Darby, and then the next week, who was it that Cody was against? Cody and Dustin were against. They were against someone. Who was it? Was it the Lucha Brothers? I think, yeah, it was. It was Cody and Dustin versus the Lucha Brothers, and Cody and Dustin won. This surprised me more than the fact that the Lucha Brothers lost, more so than Cody and Dustin won, if that makes sense. I know it leads to the same thing, but you know, yeah, I don't know. I still think that result was a bit because Dustin didn't really need that win, Cody didn't really need that win, but the Lucha Brothers did. And since then, you know, Phoenix has lost in singles competition. We haven't ditched the Pentagon Christopher Daniels story. That's not been ditched, not in the slightest, but it's receiving a little bit less focus than other stories. What we're looking at right now in terms of SCU is the devolution of SCU. I'll get into that just now, actually. But yeah, to wrap that up, Kip Sabian against Cody Rhodes. Given that Cody Rhodes has had these important wins already, I mean, he's not a title contender anymore, so to me, Sabian should be winning this match, and if not, a draw. It's, you know, there needs to be some logic. I just dropped a dodo in the water. Well, it's gone now. God. I feel so bad. No, I don't. That's why I came out to do it. Feeding the sharks. Believe it or not, they're not even the most dangerous thing in the water. Right, so we'll just park up here, get some stamina. Ah, there we go. Ah, right, time to go. So we've got Sabian beating Cody Rhodes. What else was confirmed for next week? I'm pretty sure there was a 6-man match. But who was the 6-man? Who was the heel 6-man? We've got Darby Allin and Private Party taking on a trio. I'm trying to remember who. I don't think it's SCU. I don't think it's SCU. I'll come back to that in a minute. We've got Butcher and the Blade versus Young Bucks. And this matters a lot to me because, as I've said, Butcher and the Blade have become sentimental favorites of mine. The guitarist is an absolute legend. He's I say guitarist. That's the thing, you know. The Butcher is a guitarist as well as everything else, which is just excellent. And this base looks quite unfinished. Just scouting out. Got a good perimeter. They've tamed basic dinos. Have a lot of storage units. These guys don't have much. Don't think I'm here trying to steal. I'm just scouting out. You can't really steal. Are they on? No. They're not on. Okay. So Butcher and the Blade versus Young Bucks. I mean, I'd assume the Young Bucks are going to win. I would definitely assume that the Young Bucks are going to win. But this is when sentimental shit comes into it. Been a while since the Bucks have lost, and I really don't want the Butcher and the Blade to lose again. I say again as if it's a bad thing. I mean, if they lose, I mean their record will go to 2-2, which, you know, in retrospect, you know, isn't that bad. But I don't know. I don't want them to just be the standard bearers, you know, just like, oh well, they could win, they could lose. I don't want that. Ooh, a shark. Hello, shark. What are you doing here? Man, I love this. Good boy. Good shark. I think Butcher and the Blade should win. Because if... I don't know. Proud and Powerful, they're doing stuff with the Inner Circle. Lucha Brothers haven't been winning the way you'd expect them to. I mean, I just feel like that we just need a new team to completely surprise and bewilder the fans. And I really, really believe that Butcher and the Blade is the team to do that. They look great. One of them's a big guy. The other one's a very experienced, very good wrestler, the Blade. Oh, there's two of them. Yeah, the Blade known as Braxton Sutter or Pepper Parks, as he was known as in NWA. He was a former national heavyweight champion, I believe. But he is a very good worker, if you haven't seen already. He hasn't really done much in the way of, you know, mesmerizing offense. That's been more left to the Butcher to do. But, yeah. These two, I mean... This was another thing. This was another tag team where people chanted basically, you know, who are you? They didn't know who the Butcher and the Blade were. Some people might have recognized Pepper Parks. Nobody recognized the Butcher. But having seen, you know, how much they've done on the indies, I understand why not a lot of people know. They haven't really been doing it, this act, you know. It's not been the longest running thing from what I've seen, so for the amount of time they've been doing it, I'm just really happy that they're getting the appreciation they deserve on AEW. And in my opinion, I think a title shot would not hurt them at all, even if they were to lose to Omega and Hangman. But my booking would have them be the final straw between Omega and Hangman. Maybe Hangman, yes, he won them the titles, but what if Hangman were to lose him the titles? Would we see Hangman turn on Omega? Would we see Omega turn on Hangman? Kill the dodo shark. I'm just enjoying feeding things to sharks right now. I'm enjoying this too much. I don't know. It's kind of tough to pick who you want to be the next tag champion, because there's so many good tag teams that deserve a shot. Like I said, Lucha Brothers, Proud and Powerful. If you gave the Hybrid 2 a title shot, people would be very happy just to hear that music and to see them do their entrance. AEW have definitely over-excelled their job. They haven't just got, you know, 2 or 3 teams or people over in each division. They have got basically everyone. They've basically got everyone over, and that's a ridiculous achievement. Butcher and the Blade, again, who are you, Chance? But they now come out to pops, people recognize the music, people understand why they're in AEW, and people love the look. Braxton Sutter has a fantastic creepy mask, and as I said, just aesthetically looks amazing. Same thing can be said for his wife Ali, that's for sure. When you see the pair of them wearing shirts saying sex, weights and protein shakes, you know that they are a very happy couple. So I'm sure that their chemistry in the ring and outside the ring will be very good. And Andy Williams, the Butcher, yeah, the dude's got a mustache from like... The guy's got a mustache from a long time ago, and his monocle is just a win for me, you know? How can I not cheer a dude with a monocle? I can't tell if that creature has drowned or what. Why is it not moving? No, she's swimming. Is that turtle going to attack it? Where's it gone? Lost it. There it is. I'm actually surprised there hasn't been a shark or anything yet. Come on, sharks. Dinner time. To be honest, if there was a shark around here, they'd be more interested in the turtle first anyway. Yeah, I'm not seeing any water life. Oh well. That was fun. So, talked about that. We've got all that going on. Again, there's plenty more. There's plenty more to talk about. Okay, let's go in a little bit to the women's division. Women's division is the most critically shamed part of AEW, and I think it's horrendous. I think it's horrendous that people still say the women's division needs more work, because it doesn't need to be said, right? It's like, if you say it, you are just discrediting the people who are there currently trying to build it. You know, the fact is WWE didn't have a proper women's division until a couple of years ago, so the fact that AEW haven't reached the level WWE took 30 or 40 years to reach, right, I don't think is a cause for merit to say that they are failing their job, that they are not doing that well, because I think that is complete and utter bullshit. I think Chris Statlander and Riho are in better positions with AEW than a lot of the stars currently are in WWE with themselves. Again, these things shouldn't be compared, because you're comparing something which has had years and years and years and years, and now you've got something which is just modern. They understand the classic reasons, they understand the new reasons. But can we please stop crapping on the women of AEW? It's incredibly disrespectful. Chris Statlander has done a good job. Riho and Hikaru Shida have done a good job. Britt Baker has done a good job, now turning heel. She's got one promo and everyone's now calling her a bitch. You know? One promo, ladies and gentlemen. One. We've got the Nightmare Collective. People say that's stupid because we've got the Dark Order, but this is the women's division, so people were completely fine for Liv Morgan to become Sister Abigail and team with Bray Wyatt, to basically have a female Bray Wyatt. But no. That's different, you see. Apparently. The women of AEW are not at the same level as the men of AEW for one reason, and one reason only: that the tag division has not been established yet. The reason why the men have such depth and such fluidity and depth, I'm not sure if I said depth already, in AEW is because of the tag division. And we've proved that instantly, because we're not just giving the tag title to as many of the good teams as possible. You know, the second ever winner is Omega and Hangman. Now, people are going to look back and go, wow, that seems a bit weird. But then when people go back and they go through the story, right, people respect it. People love it. None of these things are complicated, like I keep saying. Wrestling is not complicated. Believe me, if wrestling was that complicated, less than 1 million people would watch it in total, you know, every week. And that's across every single promotion in the world. So let's give the AEW women a fucking break, because Riho is a good champion. She's defended her title more than any other champion in AEW. So suck on that for people saying she's a part-timer. Sure, she might be a part-timer, but she's done more than the other champions. And, well, it works. She gets good reactions, so stop bitching. Next, as I said, Statlander over Britt Baker, over, maybe now it'd be over as a heel. Every time a new woman debuts in AEW, people make a big deal out of it, because women are a big deal in wrestling, and people can keep trying to tell me that the women are undermined, but what I see is female superstars in WWE that have more followers than the ratings. You know, so you've got like 2 million people watching Raw, but then some of these women have 4 or 5 million followers. and you know that probably half of them are just there to jerk off. But that's what it's there for. Guys are creeps, and there's a lot of them, and that's how money's made off women off TV. So every time you debut a new woman, you are going to have a group of guys who are willing to throw money at this girl because she looks good. And that sounds horrible, right? But this is business. This is the way the world works. I'm not the guy that created 5 million accounts, you know, to follow one woman. This is just what the world has done. I'm just commenting on what they've done. Go on, shark. Oh shit, this is our base. It's right off the coast. Good shark. So what stories do we have currently going in the women's division? Talked about how most of them are over, they're established. If I say the names Riho, Hikaru Shida, Bea Priestley, Britt Baker, you know who I'm talking about, and there's a good chance you probably didn't before that. So AEW, congratulations, you did your job, and no one can tell you any differently, in my mind, because, like I said, you did your job. See if I can hit this thing from a mile away, huh? Oh, that was close. You keep twisting, you son of a bitch. I used to be good at this shit. Oh, I just missed the tail. I even saw it. Fuck. One more. Damn it. Oh well. Worth a shot. Or a few. So, currently happening in the women's division, the Nightmare Collective targeting Chris Statlander cost her title shot. We got the tag match then between the NC and what the fuck just landed over there? Yeah, NC against Chris Statlander and Shida, which was originally supposed to be between Awesome Kong and Mel versus Hikaru and Chris. Awesome Kong was ill, so they replaced her with Brandy, and then Brandy and Mel lost to Hikaru and Chris. But it was Mel, the girl that needed to be put over more than anyone else in this match. It was Mel that was pinned. And I think this might have just been an issue purely because of that Awesome Kong illness, and it threw everything out of whack. But Mel should not have been the one getting pinned, because she's a big girl. She's 6'1", 6'2". You know, she's not jacked, but she's built, and she can throw people around with ease. She can wrestle. She'll get there. She comes across as green, but if you look at her history, she has wrestled for a little while. But she shouldn't have lost. Again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about Wardlow. You don't lose your debut. You know, look what happened to CM Punk when he lost his UFC debut. You know, and we're treating this like a sport. You know, so there has to be a good reason for Mel taking the L. Kind of rhymes, but seriously, you know, there has to be a reason for Mel losing, and not Brandy, because I mean, I don't get why you wouldn't just have Brandy get pinned. I mean, Brandy's record in AEW is 1-0. She's never lost. I mean, she can take a loss in a tag team match, and people will go, okay, Brandy lost because, you know, she's the loudmouth one of the group. She's not the powerhouse or the experienced one. She's Brandy Rhodes. She's the annoying leader, is what her condescending leader. You know, it's kind of the role that she's built for herself right now. So why didn't she lose? You know, why wasn't she pinned? Are we doing something big with Brandy? Because I hope not. Not for the same reason that idiots will give you, which is, oh, they shouldn't be pushing Brandy Rhodes. It's all about Brandy Rhodes just because she's Cody's wife. And it's like, yeah, well, and yet you bitch that Cody, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega don't get enough. But fuck, if Cody's wife gets too much, you're quick to jump on it, aren't you? I mean, it's like, get the fuck. That's why I made that video about wrestling fans, basically telling them to get the fuck. Oh, you lived. You cheeky shit. Fuck it. Who's next? Hey! I need to fix this soon. It's cheap. So hopefully there's a reason why Brandy isn't being pinned. AEW logic would suggest there is. So that is, we have yet to get confirmation if that's over or if that's yet to be if that's a rivalry that's still to be continued with Chris Statlander involved, or maybe they'll divert just purely onto Hikaru Shida because Shida was the one who saved Statlander and is the one that's actually over with the crowd. That's the other thing as well. If you don't watch week in week out, yes, Riho is over, but I think it's very safe to say she is not the most over Japanese wrestler in female wrestler in AEW. That honor definitely belongs to Hikaru Shida. People have completely fallen in love with her. Americans maybe love her because, I don't know, oh, she's moved to America, she's living the American dream, she just wants to be one of us now. I don't know how Americans think. But when she's in the ring, in my opinion, she is definitely one of the very best women in the world. She puts on a caliber of match which you could never expect from the likes of Bayley and Becky Lynch. I mean, Bayley can tell a cracking story or two, but I mean, you've got to let her. And she's in completely the wrong company to do that. And Becky, well, listen, I was a fan of Becky before the man was a thing. I was actually a bigger fan of Becky when she was just the last kicker, if I'm completely honest. But anyway, Becky got lucky. And that's why she's over. And then everyone said, well, then explain why many people know her name. It's like, because she got over by accident on the biggest promotion on the planet. Like, yes, we talk about the dwindling audiences of WWE, but the fact is, if you get over with that crowd, there is no bigger crowd. That's the point. You know, WWE, there's millions of WWE fans that, as I've said, aren't really wrestling fans. They are WWE fans. But as soon as a wrestler gets old school hype like what they used to, as soon as they get that old school hype, different ballgame. As soon as they get that old school hype, all of a sudden the fans have this connection with stars. And it usually comes around the WrestleMania time. Because people now watch WWE for the WrestleMania moments. Because that's all there is. All the storytelling throughout the year is utter gibberish, it's utter crap. Like, for example, the man who tried to kill Roman Reigns. We're done with that. You know, that we're not going to get anything else more with that. Someone tried to kill Roman, he's not anymore. Okay, we're done with that. You know, it's like, fucking hell. You know, just such a... why just forget about it? Anyway, Becky got over by luck. Again, like I said, don't hate me for saying that. I loved Becky anyway, right? And now she is so fake, and I don't care what people say that you know, Becky's now acting herself. She's now free to express herself. There's no way Becky Lynch is like that in real person. She comes across as a giggly, very grateful, very happy, very, very content young woman. But the man comes across as an arrogant bastard, like the man would in the men's division. And her audience and her hype is not growing, it's dying. And this is partly due to that, and it's also partly due to the fact that she married a guy who may be regarded as one of the biggest dickheads in wrestling right now. And he's got some stiff competition, you know. You've got Austin Aries, you've got Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette obviously is number one. You can't dislodge that guy as number one. He either has the greatest gimmick outside of WWE or any major promotion for that matter, or he just really is an out of touch, deluded old man, and is a sign of how Vince McMahon actually thinks. That's what you take away from Jim Cornette. So Seth Rollins, probably, I'd say, a close second to being regarded as the biggest dickhead in wrestling right now. Condescending bank balance messages to wrestlers who, quite frankly, are better than he is scummy. You know, it's like, oh, I've got the big bank, and it's like, hey, yeah, but you've got far less respect. And if you really were a proper wrestler, you'd care more about the respect. That's the way I see it. That's the way most people see it. It does get a bit petty. It does get a bit petty. And that's the problem. You know, she's now associated herself with a guy like that. And this is wrestling. You know, they were always going to use it for a match or two. And what happened as soon as they started doing Becky teaming up with Seth? We got utter crap. We got Becky Lynch being someone's husband, and we got Becky Lynch being someone's wife, and we got I'm getting so mixed up. Sorry. We got Becky basically just being someone's wife, and we got Seth Rollins saying, well, I'm just her husband. That was the gimmick. Oh, he's my husband. Oh, she's my wife. Oh. Well, let's have a match against Corbin and Lacey Evans. Because, you know, they were flirting. Even though she's married with a kid, I mean, they were flirting. Let's make that work. You know, that's got nothing to do with WrestleMania. Just to tie in those 2 points together about Becky's hype and the WWE only caring about WrestleMania. You know, that's another story. It's just long gone, forgotten about. Corbin and Lacey Evans, what are you talking about? Corbin's now King Corbin, teaming with Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. And you've got fucking Lacey Evans now as a face. And she didn't do anything to go face. She just went up against Sasha Banks, who just happened to come across as a stronger bitch. So then Lacey just... Oh, that, and Lacey cried in Saudi Arabia. That's why she's face. Just get fucked, WWE. Yeah, so, tying that to AEW, there is no one in AEW with the hype of the likes of Becky Lynch, and people will keep saying, you know, Becky's this, Becky's that. Becky got lucky. Becky is in the bigger company. Becky has been on the scene for years. Let's not remember that. The reason why the man and why her explosion was such a big deal was because she was an already well-known underdog. She had been established. Yes, she was an underdog, but she had been established. You knew the name Becky Lynch. You knew the way she spoke. You knew the fire of her Irish, pride. It was all already there. And then you just go, oh, well, Riho and Hikaru were shit because they've had 3 matches and I didn't like any of them. Even if you were that person, I mean, first of all, you don't know what wrestling is. Second of all, it's just, you are making such a judgment so quickly. It's like people are going, unless you're the perfect show, right away, we are not interested. We don't want you to build up stars. We want you to give us stars. And it's like, well, fucking which is it? You can't have one without the other. We need to build stars. Oh, you could buy them. And then you get, oh, well, you shouldn't buy all of them because you'll just be TNA 2.0 or WCW 2.0. And it's like, fucking hell. Listen to yourselves, people. It's like dealing with children with melted brains. Sometimes. And I think that's a good way to wrap it up, going back onto shitting on wrestling fans. So my final advice to you, if you are a wrestling fan, is to be nicer, for fuck's sake, and use your brain. For God's sake, use your brain, right? They're wonderful things. They make explanations for you, and if you get confused, you can ask things politely, as you were taught to by your parents or by your fucking teachers, or whoever the fuck, Carry yourself with some decency. And, sometimes I don't, right? Because sometimes I get emotional over it, and we all do, right? But don't do it in a way where you're crapping over someone's work. When someone spends 5 years, building up, trying to get somewhere, don't just dismiss them after 2 matches. Oh, that's why you weren't signed to WWE. It's like, fuck you. How dare you say that to these people? Who the fuck are you? You just sit behind a phone or a computer screen, right? I mean, sure, I make jokes and sure, I criticize things, right? But I don't tell people how to do their fucking job. I point out certain things, right? But I don't go, you're shit, you should quit. Because that's too far. It's too much. It's ungrateful. That's the main thing. Don't be fucking ungrateful, right? Think about it. If you were a wrestler, you're a wrestler. You're earning some good money from this, and think about what you're doing. The bumps you're taking, the flips you're doing, the knocks, the injuries, the hospital bills, right? Think about all those things, right? And now think about how you would feel if these ungrateful little shits on the internet basically started calling you a fraud, should never wrestle, you're a joke, you haven't wrestled a day in your life, you don't know what you're doing. Would you not want to just go out and fucking slap these people silly? You would, wouldn't you? And that's an understatement. I would do... it'd be hard to hold back on people thinking like that over your life's work. So I admire wrestlers for their restraint around fans, because by God, I wouldn't have that restraint. No way would I have that restraint. Certainly not to the same levels. Not even close. So kudos to them, man. And that's the respect that we should be giving them more often. They deserve our respect. They deserve your praise. They deserve your criticisms, but they do not deserve you shitting on them. Right? Tweak this, tweak that. This is great, but this, but don't just go, you should quit. Right? Because at that point, you become a massive piece of shit. And not to mention, you just come across as just a child who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's the other thing. And do you want to be that guy, the one where people look at and go, God, this guy's just a fucking moron? No, you don't want to be that guy. No one wants to be that guy. God, this thing's good at dodging. Just gonna kill this thing. Fuck. How much health does this thing have? Not much left. That's the answer. Not much left. Ah. So, to summarize, WWE will give you a tumor. AEW rewards their fans for their attention to detail and for their time. And even if your favorite star isn't being pushed, you still feel very content, very happy the way things are. And to me, I mean, that's more important than most other things. You know, as long as you're content, as long as you're happy. You just gotta watch it. You know, if you are one of the people that enjoy WWE, more power to you. You have a mental strength that I can't comprehend, because I can't stand it. So, with that being said, enjoy wrestling, because we're only going to live once. We spend our time watching the things that we want to watch. Don't waste your time on things you don't want to watch. And as I said, for the love of God, don't wish these people to lose their jobs or their livelihoods or their dreams on the account of you being basically just a dickhead for whatever reason. If you're just bored, if you're on your phone away to send the message, or if you are genuinely bitter that your own life sucks and this guy who you perceive to be a moron is very successful, don't take it out on him. Fucking sort yourself out. That's all I have to say on it. This is Nelson CEP. This has been Sports Talk. Enjoy AEW, enjoy your sport, and for the love of God, stop being dickheads. Thank you.